This is season number 19 of Bass Talk Live with Matt Pangraff. BTL is presented by Lowrance. Bass Cat. This is season number 19 of Bass Talk Live with Matt Pangraff. BTL is presented by Lowrance. Bass Cat Boats. AFCO. Strike King Lures. Sunline. Big Bite Baits. Spro. X-Zone Lures. Gamakatsu. The Bass Tank. Denali Rods. And Pro Guide Batteries. Hit them with the hook, Jeffries.
PTL coming at you.
Good evening, and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we are going to talk about bass fishing at night with the man, the one and only, our friend of the North, Dave Mercer.
Hey. Well, I mean, we don't do enough podcasts, so why not do another one, Panger?
Well, that's what I figured. I said, you have a thriving Mercer podcast. I do BTL, and then we also collab. That's the right word, right? Collab?
That's what the kids use. Yeah, we're collabs.
We collab for the Cull, which is, how would you describe what the Cull is, Dave?
Well, I would probably describe it by how I open it every week. It's a weekly sport fishing debate show. It's like, it's our version of Stephen A. Smith or whatever. You know what I mean? You want to
compare that PTI, kind of our version of PTI.
Yeah. The problem is, and maybe the kind viewers that have tuned in can help us. The problem is, we're like 50 episodes in, and the hardest part for me and Panger is coming up with topics to argue about. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of them come naturally, though. Some of them come naturally because we are very polar opposite in some of our thought processes, but then we're also parallel in a lot of our thought processes.
It's kind of how our relationship started. I mean, people think, the Cull literally is what me and Panger used to do. Like when Panger was at all the events and he would come in the trailer, the media trailer. It sounds so much cooler when you call it, the media trailer. It's really just like it's where everyone jams in when it's raining. And
it's literally a trailer that the media sits in.
Yes. Just like no different than a horse trailer, except not as well appointed with food. But Panger would come in after being off the water, and I'd come in after being off the water, and we'd start talking. We always get into these debates, like, what is this? Or what is that? What's the future of this? And that's kind of what the Cull is. And the coolest thing to me is when people take it so personally, like in the comments, and I thank everybody for the comments, but you'll get all these comments, and they'll be like, I'm really sorry, Dave, but I got to go with Matt this week.
I like that. That hasn't happened lately. I've been the whipping boy on the Cull lately.
I've been a whipping boy a few times, though. But
you deserved it. I mean, 5
classics for one. Are you nuts?
Anyway, you can go over to the Facts of Fishing YouTube. So I'm technically supposed to post these two, and then it's like, hey, we're going to...
The horrible partner.
Yeah, but I don't post them. Anyway. Hold on, I'm working on some mic settings here. I don't think I've ever actually asked you, we talked about in the media trailer stuff, how did you get into this whole gig? Have you gone into that? Like, have I missed the episode where you actually talk about like how you ended up in the fishing industry in the first place?
No. I mean, yes and no, like depending on where I've taught. But I mean, honestly, fishing's all I've ever done. Like when I was a kid, I knew like I'm the guy. I run into people I went to grade school with, and they're like, in grade 5, you said you wanted to fish for a living, and you that's how you've made your living. And I'd love to be like it was all thought out, and I was going to, do this or do that. But it literally was, everything's been a means to an end from the beginning. You know what I mean? Like I literally remember being a teenager and thinking, because I started fishing tournaments when I was like 13 and was lucky enough to do okay.
In Canada? Like where in Canada?
In Southern Ontario.
So like club tournaments, team tournaments?
Well, I mean, at that time, to believe it or not, there was no clubs. There was zero clubs in Canada at that time. They didn't start till a little while after, but they were kind of like regional tournaments. Like, circuits were just starting to kind of happened a few years after that, but like the first tournament I fished was the JD Fishing and Archery Bass Tournament, but it was on the lake that I lived on. And we fished it, finished 10th place in the first event and won $400 and figured I was loaded. And did that all the way through high school, did some guiding and fished tournaments. And then when school ended, I was like, well, what do I do now? And I continued to fish tournaments, but even early on, I was like, yeah, I don't like this life. That's what I love about tournament anglers. That's why I have so much respect for them, because I knew early on that I like to travel. I like to do things. I just don't like to be away for months at a time, like some anglers are. You know, like Palaniuk left last week.
Oh, it's insane. But he like travels his house now. He's got the kid. And but is that bad that I know the dog's name and not his kid's name? The dog's name Bella. Cora's the kid?
Yes.
So they have
Look, I want to put my glass on so I could read these comments. That's the other thing I didn't have to do when I first got into this.
So I mean, they have Cora and then Bella and Tim. They've loaded up, but I mean, they basically make that their house.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Like 4 months at a time.
Yeah. So they won't return for a long time. They won't get back till June, I think. But I knew then, I was like, I love tournaments. I love tournament fishing. I just don't want this to be what I do all the time. But I knew I still wanted to fish for a living. And I swear to you, it's as simple as I went to a dude named Bob Azumi's house, saw his house. And Bob Azumi is a big deal in Canada. He's the Bill Dance of Canada. Mm-hmm. And just recently retired. Congratulations on your retirement, Bob. But Bob had a beautiful house. And I remember thinking, like, how'd you get this house? And it was all from a TV show. And I'm like, I need to start a TV show. So I got into TV through there and did actually tips for 10 plus years. Just did 1 minute tips that were on a bunch of different network channels.
Wait a sec. Were you making a living? Like, how are you paying the bills is my question then. You weren't paying the bills through tips, were you?
Oh, yeah. No, well.
So have you ever had a 9 to 5?
No, but I'm so dumb, dude. Like I don't know if I'm dumb, or just not smart enough to know when to stop or whatever, but I literally wanted to be on TV. And there was this channel in Ontario called the New VR. And it was like kind of right above Toronto. It was the gateway to cottage country. And I remember I went to Bill Patrick, who was the station manager. I called him for 6 months trying to get a meeting with him because I need to hit him the idea that we're going to have these.
It's very Mark Jeffries of you. Continue.
Tuesday night fishing tips. And so finally he went to see me. He brought me in. I'm certain to this day that he only brought me in simply just because I wouldn't stop calling him. You know, I would leave him voicemail after voicemail. So I went in, I did, that day he said, well, what experience do you have in TV? And I'm like, I've been on it a couple tournaments. Like, so he said, you never went to broadcast school or anything like that? I said, no. He said, well, I'll tell you what, we'll send you for a screen test. I did not even know what a screen test was at the time, but I had to drive home to get my boat, which was about an hour and a half away. And at the time I drove a truck that my friends would call caramel corn. And the reason they called it caramel corn was because it was a light brown Nissan Pathfinder that literally had the same color of caramel corn, but even more importantly, it had holes in the bottom of the floor. And if I drove for over 40 minutes, the floorboards would start to, the floor mat would start to burn. And it had this weird smell of caramel corn. I don't know why. So I'd have to pull over and put water on it and everything. Anyways, go get my boat, come back. I remember walking into the station and being like, I'm here for my screen test. Like, what an idiot I must have sounded like. The camera person comes out with me and sets up on the back deck of my boat. And he's like, okay, so go ahead. And I'm like, well, what do I do? And he's like, well, tell us how the fishing's been this year. So I rattle off some crap about, the weed growth and, it's behind this year. So you got to do this, and this. And he folds up his camera and puts it away. I head home. And that night when I got home, and this is dating myself and showing how old I am, but there was no cell phones or anything. So I get home and there's a message on my machine that says, hey, you better watch the news tonight because you're going to be on it. So I'm like, I have freaking made it. And the problem was I didn't realize how to make money for like the first 6 months. And then I started learning how to sell sponsors, and there was no classes or anything, but I just stumbled my way through it. And one thing led to another. And then 10 years later, the tip thing that evolved into being up at one time, it was in 500 times a week it would air in Canada.
Holy cow.
All the place in Canada. And then lo and behold, we moved into a half-hour show, and it, one thing led to another. But literally all I've ever done, Panger, is fish. Like I worked at a bar for 5 years at night while I was trying to get this going, but that's the only other kind of legit job I ever had.
So then outside of, the facts of fishing and the show and the tips stuff, then Bassmaster is like your only quote real job then. Like, I mean, like, you know what I mean? That's not relying on like the TV show or anything.
Yeah, really it is. And that's the weirdest story too, because like I went to 10 classics before I ever worked for Bass.
Yeah.
And I'd be going to work for different sponsors and stuff. And some years I literally paid out of my pocket, and people would be like, why are you going there? And I'm like, I don't know. I just have to figure this out. And it was so weird that I would sit there every year during the weigh-in, and I still feel the same. Like there's a feeling when you walk into the classic arena, wherever it is, there's a feeling that I think all of us understand. It's almost like a hair on the back of your neck stands up. You're like, this is the freaking Bassmaster Classic. So every time I'd go in there, I'd sit and watch the weigh-in, and I'd be like, and did I screw up? Not that I thought that I could have been Kevin Van Dam, but I figured maybe if I stuck with it, I could have made a few classics. You know what I mean? It made the Bassmaster Classic. And it's so weird the way life works out. Lo and behold, years later, I start doing some charity tournaments. I think was the first few ones that I emceed, and talking has always been my strong suit, I guess. Like I literally won the speech competition in grade school every single year.
I did that in 4-H. I was a 4-H extemporaneous speaking champion. I've got the medals in my room still.
What is it? 4-H what?
4-H, head, heart, hands, and health.
What was the second word?
Extemporaneous speech. So you walk in, and all the contestants, you literally pull a topic out of a hat, and then you go into a room by yourself for 30 minutes, and you have to give a 8-minute speech on that topic that you just learned about 30 minutes ago.
Wow. I think I could do good at that. I mean, I think I could.
Oh, it's very stressful. I mean, try doing that as a 14-year-old kid.
Yeah, I'm sure it's stressful, but talking was never, dude, I was born in Belfast, Northern Ireland. And I think
really?
100%. You didn't know that about me?
How do I not? Apparently, I don't know any of your back. Belfast, Northern Ireland. Do you have are you an Irish resident?
Well, no, I live in Canada now.
I know, but like, can you go back?
Oh, yeah. I have an Irish passport. Yeah. My mom was Catholic and my dad was Protestant. And I always tell people that made us Canadian. So we moved here in like the height of the Troubles. But when I came to Canada, I was a 5-year-old kid with an Irish accent. So I literally, teachers would like get me to tell them stories and stuff like that. So I think like this illness of entertaining people or telling stories has come from my grade school teachers that would make me just talk to them because they liked my accent.
Wait a second.
Are you trying to Google me? Are you trying to find out if this is true?
I'm already doing it. So, let me get rid of these. Where's that? Where's that? So there's Northern Ireland. There's Belfast. Right? That's where you were born.
Yeah, that's where I was born.
And then you zoom out, and you end up over in this neck of the woods.
Yeah.
You had you had a Northern Ireland accent?
Oh yeah. No, and the weirdest thing is if I go back to Ireland now, I get it right back. Like weirdly enough, I haven't gone back to Ireland since I started working for Bass, just because there's not enough time. I'm so busy with Bass, and then, one thing leads to another. I just, to go to Ireland, we would go every second, at least every 2 years from Not till I was like in my early 20s did we go back. Like that was a big deal for our family to go back. Because we were broke, to be totally honest.
Am I
We
the
could
only
never
one who
afford
didn't
to go
know
back.
all
But
this?
when we started going back, like I'd come home and I'd be like, "Hey, mate, you love." I was just straight Irish accent. It was it's weird. So maybe I should go back right before the classic, because
that would be awesome. James Hanna said, "Hi, Dave and Matt. Up late listening here in Belfast just now. I don't know whether that's true or not, but if it is, it may. If it's not, it makes for a fantastic story. If it is, hopefully you're drinking a pint."
Yeah, Guinness or Bushmills, maybe. It's late in Ireland. Like it's freaking 1 a.m. there, I think, right now. So thank you.
If any of the 300 plus that are watching knew this, let me know. How did I not know this? I mean, dude, we've talked for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah, you do a lot of talking, though.
I know, but
I'm joking.
But seriously, I don't know how I didn't know that. I have one more thing I need to pull up just to get a visual. Hold on here.
Make sure we know where Ireland is.
Yeah. Your audio thinks something in echo cancellation. So every 2 minutes, or 5 minutes, if I go in and hit echo cancellation, it keeps it from cracking. I'm pretty impressed that I figured that out.
I'm impressed as well.
Is that what it looked like?
It is. Dude. Except I had the wheel option on the back. I had the wheel option, but it was rusted. So it was you could never even open it.
But that's the style.
That is exactly the style.
We're talking about I believe that I Googled 1990 Nissan Pathfinder.
Yeah, there she is. It was beautiful. I loved it. Except it didn't do well for long drives. But when I was fishing tournaments, I slept in it quite a bit. I had another Jimmy as well, a blue Jimmy that was very similar style vehicle that I slept in a lot too. But again, I decided I didn't like that. So I focused on TV, and weirdly enough, I end up, honestly, the tournament thing, there's just two groups of people that I'm like, a lot of people, really, everybody's thankful for anything they accomplish, unless they're a douchebag and then they just think they did it all themselves, which I did none of this, anything I get to do myself. But the first group was the guys from TTBC, Toyota Texas Bass Classic.
We've talked about that before.
Lenny Francoeur was like, I had MC tournaments in Canada, and I, for whatever reason, I got to know the Octagon guys, and Lenny called me once and he's like, "Hey, we're starting this big tournament. It's going to be on CBS, and it's going to be the top 15 from Bass, the top 15 from FLW and everything." And I'm all like, wow, they lied. They really do call you. Somebody really does call you.
I still talk with Lenny. Lenny still texts me.
Oh, he's
showing right there.
Lenny's blowing you up.
No, not right now. I mean, we talked in October. I mean, we're not like best friends, but I still chat with Lenny.
Lenny's a great guy. I still talk to him to this day. And I'm so thankful, because he called me. He said, "So we need an MC." And I was like, wow, this is going to happen. And he's like, "But don't worry. We don't want you to be the MC. We think you could be a sideshow guy." So at the time, I'm like, well, who you need to hire, because he made it clear it wasn't going to be me. I'm just going to be running around giving away prizes and stuff, which is cool. I said, hire Fish Fishburne, because I was a huge Fish Fishburne fan growing up. And that had been like a few years since Fish had worked for Bass. And I thought Fish is going to come out and blow the doors off this thing. And I worked with Fish for a couple of years. And then I ended up being the main MC at the TTBC. And one thing led to another. And then a late meeting with Mark Zona and Kevin Van Dam at Las Vegas in a bar called Stacked. And you can figure out why it was called Stacked, but it was a family establishment. So we're at Stacked, and they're talking about bass and everything. And I'm just like, I've been obsessed with this my whole life. And I don't know why I threw it out there, but I was like, hey man, if Bass is ever hiring, like if they have any need for somebody, I'd love to work for them. And I remember Zona looked at me and he's like, "Really?" And I said, "Yeah." He's done. And him and Kevin kind of nodded at each other. And I was like, and then a process started with Bass going through interviews. And then there's kind of that crazy story with me and Jerry McInnis in the final interview, which I'm sure you've heard before. But yeah, that's how I ended up here where I am. And thank God for all those weird things happening.
It's weird. Like everyone, I guess you could say, has this in their life, their path that leads them to where they are. Meetings, fortuitous things that you thought were bad luck. I mean, you can look at the anglers like that. Think of how many anglers' careers have been made on a single fish. And you think about that, like if that fish comes off, if there's a nick in the line, if it weighs 2 ounces less, if a fish doesn't die, it's amazing how little things have such drastic change in life. And at the time you have absolutely no idea where it will lead.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the truth about life though. Like I mean, all of those things, like, but as long as you're true to yourself but yeah, like, I mean, when you look at all the things that got you to where you are, or, and maybe you're somewhere where you shouldn't be. Maybe it goes the opposite way too. There's jail cells full of dudes who are just like, yeah, I shouldn't have made that decision.
Hey, ironic, if I could say, hey, I only know this because you mentioned it on the G-Man episode a couple of weeks ago. You can literally quiz me about any other Mercer episode. The G-Man is the one I have not had. So I get up in the morning and then I'll throw on your show. Like I was listening to John Cox the other day, and then I listened to Carl and Gussie, and then I listened to the KVD one. Of course, I hadn't listened to the G-Man yet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the G-Man.
Now people are interested in the Jerry McInnis story. Multiple people saying, okay, you got to tell that you can't tease it and then not tell the Jerry McInnis story.
Okay.
I mean, it could be a truncated version, but or it could be the even more in-depth version.
No, I mean, I've told it a lot, but I'll tell it again. Because it is honestly like it's like from a freaking movie. Like I can't even, when I think back on it, I can't even believe that happened and that I had the balls to do what I did. So I meet Mike McInnis, who is one of my closest friends on earth to this day, still my boss and producer at Bass. On that same night with Kevin and Zona, and we all go out and it's a good time. So anyways, I've met several people from JM, which is the production company that does all of Bass's video work. And I'm feeling pretty good about and I don't think I didn't know I was going to be the MC. Like I literally was just trying to get a job with Bass.
What were you planning on doing?
What's that?
What were you planning on doing?
Well, at the time I had been doing like a lot of like that was the first initial FYI thing that I did, the news clips online on web. So I thought like maybe I'll be the web guy. Maybe I'll do some, interviews and which sounds so strange right now, but at that time
you got your foot in the door.
That was big at that time because like everybody was worried about the web, and you know what I mean? Like the last classic that I didn't work for Bass, I remember I made a big deal because I did twit vids, which were Twitter videos, which was brave. And now it's like there's no such thing as a twit vid. So I've met with everybody at Bass. Everything's going good. And then I'm just told, well, you need to meet with Jerry McInnis. And I knew exactly who Jerry McInnis was. In Canada, a lot of Canadians, when they hear this, they don't realize because Jerry's show wasn't on in Canada. I mean, he shot a
longest running show in the United States, like 30 some years, The Fishing Hole with Jerry McInnis.
Yeah. Number 2 longest running show on ESPN still to this day, other than Sports Desk or Sports Center, whatever it's called. So anyways, I go in to meet Jerry, and I'll be honest, I don't get nervous, Panger, very much, but I was nervous for this because it was also like they had already told me, like, if things go good, we want to hire you. So I go meet with Jerry, and when you meet with Jerry, like you go into JM's offices, and it's so cool because like it's got like a warehouse feel to it. You know what I mean? Like an urban warehouse with all the brick and there's every piece of bass fishing history that a bass fishing geek like me would freak out over, like Takumi's, or not Takumi's, Takehiro's I Knew It jersey is like hanging right there, and you're just passing.
Oh, from Wiley?
Yeah, all of this is like, I mean, it's Bass history. It's steeped in it. Just walking through. Also, then I go meet with Jerry, and meeting with Jerry was not like a normal job interview. You think of a job interview, you think of, like, what do you bring to this company or whatever. Like me and Jerry literally talked for 3 hours. Like, and it was an emotional roller coaster. Like, we talked about baseball. We talked about, smallmouth fishing was a big topic. We talked just about all these things, but every once in a while he'd throw something in about work, and we keep, moving on. And then finally, we're 3 hours into this. I am petting Arch, his dog, which I'm allergic to dogs, but I don't care. I'm like, I'm going to pet the crap out of this dog because if it bites me, I just figured Jerry's the kind of guy that's, if his dog bites you, you're done. So we're sitting there, and Jerry's also one of those people who doesn't show an expression. Like me, you can always tell, like, my eyes are like, when you talk to me, where I'm at with your story generally. Jerry's not. Jerry's just one of those Southern kind of gentlemen that, like, lets it marinate a little bit. So Jerry gets talking about all this stuff, and he's like, Dave, I can't believe the amount of support we've got, because this is right when they have bought Bass. Don Logan, Jim Copeland, and Jerry McInnis bought Bass from ESPN. And he goes, it's amazing the amount of support we're getting all around the world too. He goes, and he pulls out this magazine, which I have hanging on the wall right there. He pulls out this magazine, and he's like, look at this right here. He goes, and he pushed it in front of me, and it's Basser magazine, which many people might know, a very famous Japanese magazine. Beautiful magazine. It's
freaking awesome.
And there's an article in it. It's got a picture of Don, Jerry, and Jim together, and it's like the new ownership of Bass, and it's a big article on them.
It's like who just bought the Yankees.
Basically. So he says to me, but he goes, who knows what they're saying? I can't read it. And dude, I think you know me enough at this point that a lot of times my dad growing up used to say, you need to put your brain in gear before you put your mouth in drive. That is a skill that I am yet to ever accomplish. So sometimes stuff comes out of my mouth and my brain starts like backwheeling and saying, you shouldn't have done that. So I right away, without thinking anything, I'm like, I can read it to you, Jerry. and Jerry looks up and he's like, what? And I mean, dude, all through my mind, all that's going through my mind is me calling my wife on the way home in the rental car saying, we were 3 hours into the interview and I screwed up my dream job because I lied to him.
You can speak Japanese and read Basser magazine.
He's like, no. He's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, Jerry, now at this point I've committed to the lie, right? There's no sense backtracking. And I'm like, Jerry, do you want me to read it to you or not? And he's kind of startled. And dude, so I open the magazine and I read it a little bit because I mean, dialects are different in places. Yeah. That's said something like that to him. And I've never been able to duplicate what I did in that office that day. But basically, it went something like this. Jerry McInnis has been a leader since day number one. Early in his life, he chased the dream of being a professional baseball player, made it to the Oakland Athletics organization, and left that to lead yet another industry, a groundbreaking fishing show, and then started developing tournaments coverage like we've never seen before through the FLW. And now he is the owner of Bass. And we at Basser Magazine have it under strict confidence. He's about to make one of the most prudent decisions of his life and hire Dave Mercer to MC the Bassmaster Classic. Brilliant. And dude, the whole way through it, I'm like I get to the end, I'm like, I handed back the magazine and I swear you could see my heart pumping through my shirt. And Jerry looks up at me and he's like, you don't speak Japanese, do you? And I said, no, Jerry, I don't. He said, I think you'll do pretty good at this job. And he hired me on the spot. So it was the most ridiculous. Do not lie, children. But if you do, make it a good one.
And then long story short, I know we've talked about this. We've covered this in BTL. Then your first classic is KVD.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, I didn't know I was applying.
Yeah, we went through that. I mean, it's nuts. It's nuts. They were just kind of like, here you go. Have fun at the classic.
Dude, and we had a breakfast the year after I did the classic, and we're walking out, and it's in Vegas at ICAST again, and we're walking out from breakfast, and Jerry's beside me, and Mike's there, and Jerry was the greatest for bringing up little things, and he's like, you know what, Mercer? A couple of days before that classic, I called Mike up and I said, what have we done? We don't even know this guy. So thank God it worked out.
That's a heck of a story, Dave.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good
All
one.
right. Well, we promised some stuff during the show. We're 31 minutes in. I think maybe we should we got a bunch of stuff to give away. So
I'm not giving away any of it. Okay, just so you know, I mean, I'm all about people getting it, but you're picking the winner. Don't screw me.
Yeah,
like
no.
that.
So here's how we do it.
Okay.
I have the comments over on the side, right? And I have a mouse with a little scroll deal. So I can scroll all the way up. So like all the way I'm already to like 702. And then I can scroll like all the way down, and there's one at like 733. So this is the way I do this is we pick a random person who's made a comment on the instant feedback.
Okay.
And then as we go on for the show, we will build up to it. And I am going to put the onus on you. We are going to do a quick kind of question and answer period with you, and then you can just pick your favorite question. Okay. And they will get a hopefully well, they could do whatever they want with it, but a 2x hydronaut, right?
Yeah. I came up with our slogan. If you're the right size, you can win a prize.
All right. What do we have? You sent the list of stuff that you're giving away. You know who I've tried to get on the show multiple times, and I'm going to call him out live on the show, is Casey Shedd, who's the president of AFCO Freshwater. And I'll say this, AFCO sponsors me on the opens. They sponsor BTL as the show. I got on really early with them through their rep group when they came into the freshwater market. And it's really rare to actually not only have a relationship with the people who like own it and make the decisions and started it. And dude, you could say whatever you want because I'm saying this, but like Casey Shedd is freaking awesome. So we did a tournament on Table Rock, and they did all the employees and they did a casting contest. I've never told this story before. This was a year and a half ago. They did a casting contest, and whoever was the most accurate caster could then pick the pro that they wanted to fish with. Right. So you're talking like Mike McClellan, Justin McClellan, Jeremy Lawyer, Pete Wenners. Like it's on Table Rock, like bunch of top end guys. So Casey Shedd, who considers himself the office fishing pro, miraculously wins this casting contest. And he picks me number 1 overall, ahead of Mike McClellan, Jeremy Lawyer, that type. Anyway, so I got to spend 3 days on the boat with Casey and learn the whole story of how he started. Basically, his grandpa's in the fishing, the freshwater fishing Hall of Fame. There's all sorts of stuff with that story. But I mean, he goes on this like odyssey straight out of college because he has to work for before they let him work. It's a freaking fantastic story. So, but he's kind of camera shy. So I've been trying to work him into getting on the show because they made a big splash in the freshwater market.
I think you should just call him up and ask him to be on a call. Just say we're doing a video, and don't even tell him he's on the show. Just have a conversation, because I will say this, and I know everyone's going to say this because we both work with AFCO.
Right.
And before I worked with AFCO, I didn't know that because I just hadn't been exposed to Casey and his dad. I mean, they're an amazing family. Like I met Casey's one of those guys that you meet, and right away I found I had like a kinship with him. And generally, when you're buddies with somebody and you meet their dad, you're like, your dad's kind of cool. Like, your dad's nice. I'm respectful to your dad because he's your dad. I spent like an hour and a half talking to Casey's dad this past year at ICAST. And I'm like, that's the dude I want to be. I want to be as forward thinking and his
massive in conservation. They have the 10%, the
Incredible.
10% pledge where everything in this cell, 10% of it goes to conservation. Huge in. He's basically I guess I would say like semi-retired from the AFCO side, so he can focus all of his efforts on conservation.
Yeah, all the advocacy.
And he's also a magician. He literally worked like Bill Shedd worked for like 2 years. I'm gonna probably get canned after this for giving up all these family secrets, but like I've watched him do like an hour-long magic show with like coins and cards and scarves.
It's incredible.
All right, we're giving this stuff away. There's a bunch of people on here that say that they are 2X, but we're not going to start with the Hydronaut. We're going to end with that. So I need to pull up the list of things that you sent me that you said you have to give away on the show tonight. You have the Hydronaut rain suit. You have the pufferfish jacket.
Yeah.
A ripcord vest, a tactical HD shirt, the Wrangle long sleeve, and the Wrangle short sleeve.
Yeah.
So that's 6 things. And I have you tried the new gloves yet?
I love the gloves.
The new ones that are like the short gloves that have like that are like the driving
I don't have
gloves.
those ones. I want to win these.
They're brand new. These are a size extra large. Typically I wear a size large. The large is a little snug on me, so extra large is I have big hands, Mercer. The size 12. This is the Element glove. So I've got a brand new pair of Element gloves to give away. And then apparently I'm the only one because I'm not from Oklahoma, but I've been in Oklahoma for so long. And I just recently discovered that if you put quality sweatpants under your Hydronaut suit, then you're free and mobile all day on the water. And it's not like thermals jeans, which bind, and then the Hydronaut. So you just go like boxer sweatpants. So these are the mid-layer, a size large black, the mid-layer fleece pant, which they're like $100 pair of sweatpants, but just wear this and then your Hydronaut and you'll be comfy and mobile all day.
I'm wearing them right now. No joke.
Are you really?
Yeah, 100%. I've got them on right now. I wear them a lot. I just thought it was because I'm a fat guy, but I guess it makes skinny people comfortable too.
All right. So we'll give away one of your things first. So this is just for people who have already, been commenting. And then we'll just randomly, if you're leaving a comment, and listen, if it's like one letter or just like a word or something like that, we're picking someone else. It has to be a coherent thought in the comments. That's fair, don't you think?
Okay. Yeah, you run the rules. It's your show.
All right. And if you are picked, then you just email me, matt@basszone.com with your name and your address. And then if it goes to Mercer, I'll send him the stuff. You have people that can ship it out. And then if it's for me, I'll promise to ship it for a month and a half and you'll eventually get it in sometime in March.
By people, their name is my wife, Sarah.
It still blows my mind that you don't have like a team of full-time employees over there, Dave.
We just have us. Really,
it's very impressive. So, do you want to start at the bottom, or do you want to start with the Wrangle short sleeve and 2X?
Wherever you want. Yeah, let's start right there.
Let's start with
the beautiful fishing shirt
with the Wrangle short sleeve and 2X. So I'm just gonna scroll up, and
it's like the shirt I wear on stage all the time.
Is that what that is?
Yeah, that's exactly what. I mean, it has the Bass logo on it. This one won't, but I mean,
all right. If you watch, I'm scrolling
one with a Bass logo if you want it.
You know what? I wouldn't mind going with like a classic worn shirt from you this year.
You realize what those are like?
Do you think I could get you don't save any of those, right?
I mean, yeah.
I'm just saying right now, you don't save them. Like, you're not like, this is the 2011 final day shirt.
Yeah. A lot of times it's the same as the 2010.
Okay. So I would like this, Mercer. I'm getting the studio set up here. I would like, this will make sense. I would like the shirt that you wear on day 3 of the Classic, autographed in silver Sharpie, and then I'll frame it and put it in the studio.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm going to have a pair of Dean Rojas's pants in here for goodness sake.
Those are Dean's pants, though.
Yeah.
This is just my sweaty shirt.
These are the
somebody while they accomplish. You know what else I got for you, though, Panger? And this will come to your studio. I will do this for you. People are here to get prizes for themselves, but we're giving prizes to you. I have an extra one of these ESPN mic flag. These are the actual mic flags that for the first 15 years of the Elite Series.
No, I'd rather have the shirt.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well,
Is that doable?
That's fine.
That's a
fine.
yes?
Sweaty shirt it is.
Okay. I think that's cool. All right. I'm scrolling. I'm going to stop and pick. You just tell me when to stop. I'm all over the board on where these comments are. Lane Clark Fishing. Hey, guys from South Carolina, the shores of Lake Hartwell.
There you
He
go.
looks like he might be jacked.
Who, Lane?
Yeah. Lane Clark, you won a 2X Wrangle short sleeve shirt, courtesy of Dave Mercer. This is from your personal stash, is it not? Shoot me an email, matt@basszone.com with your name and contact info, and we'll pass that along. All right. You want to do one more while we're at it? All right,
sure.
let's do the long sleeve shirt too. We'll go with a recent comment here.
Stop now.
Michael Cull. What's up with the bobbleheads, Mer? You get to answer a question as well. Michael Cull.
Michael Cull, like the announcer for WWE.
He's got a freaking cool looking truck too. Wrangle long sleeve in 2X from Dave Mercer. Can you sign those shirts?
Yeah, if you want, but I don't know that people would want that.
Okay, if you email it, let's say you're not a 2X size or don't know anyone or whatever, and would like Mercer to sign the garment, just mention that in the email. matt@basszone.com. Michael Cull.
Highly devalued.
That's fair, right? No,
yeah, that's fine if you want it signed, but it will devalue the garment.
Okay. What is up with the bobbleheads?
I just, to be honest, it was I don't know. I'm very immature. Is a big reason that, I mean, and somebody bought me a bobblehead at one point, and then it became a thing where I started getting more and more bobbleheads, and they used to be behind my bar in my old house, and had a big bobblehead collection, and now that it's behind my head here at my desk, because you're supposed to put stuff behind you that's of interest, so it's not just a background. I don't know. That's why they're there, but it's kind of cool. Like, I've got some cool, like, the only angler there's only 2 anglers on there. One is KVD, and the other one, hold on, the other one is me.
Yeah, you talked about the KVD bobblehead.
Me, but it's very small, not near as big as the other bobbleheads.
You got a bobblehead. You talked about the KVD bobblehead on the KVD show.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
Literally, Swindle was the only one. It's like on the list of things to watch. I just got a cool text. Lane Clark just finished 5th on the Harris Chain College Tournament 2-dayer for Bassmaster with my buddy, then drove all night home and finished 7th in a BFL on Lake Kiowee, and the dude's only 18.
Way to go, Lane. Way to go. See you at the Bassmaster Classic sometime soon. That's one of the coolest things that's happening, like the amount of college kids and stuff, and how realistic it is now. I find it so personally rewarding and cool to see the amount of kids that are converting it into, a real deal. Like, where in the past you'd run into a bunch of kids and they'd be like, I want to do this for a living, but most of them you just disappear. But like, more and more, there's a kid that you meet, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, a few years later, they're in the Bassmaster Classic. So it's cool to see all this happening.
Absolutely. Matthew Johnson, that's a fantastic idea. You should get the white towel and throw it over the shoulder of the shirt when you frame it.
Oh my God.
A sweat towel and a sweaty shirt from Dave Mercer. That would look very good in the studio, though. All right. Hey, we need to take a break here. We're going to take our first break of the show. When we come back, we might talk a little bit of the Chiefs stuff, but I also want to get into, you've done some cool stuff with quote unquote celebrities. You have some feet in the UFC, in the NHL, in the NFL. There's a lot of people that like to fish, some surprising people too. And I'd like to get some cool stories from some kind of celebrity behind the scenes moment that you've gotten to experience. If you're cool diving into that, Dave.
Well, I'd have to be now that you threw it out in front of the Publix.
All right. BTL at night with the man Dave Mercer. We will be back right after this.
Introducing HDS Pro. Watch fish reacting to your lure live with Active Target 2. Get game-changing clarity in the megahertz range with the new Active Imaging HD sonar. Find the richest fishing spots with C-Maps charts. Take full control of your boat with the ultimate fishing system. HDS Pro. The more you see, the more you catch.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
Everything you need, one legendary brand. Top one on Strike King.
Hey guys, Gerald Swindle representing the AFCO Hydronaut. This is the jacket I love wearing when times is tough, and I'm talking about the weather, not the fishing. The jacket, what I like, I got a double cup right here. I can seal up the bottom of my jacket because when you're fishing, you're holding your arms up. You're bad about getting water that runs downhill. Everything bends good. I'm long arm. Look, it fits very comfortable. My arms is flexible. I've got the speed hood on, pouring down rain. I can get everything zipped up. One thing they did is they made plenty of pocket space. If you ain't got enough pockets in the Hydronaut rain suit, you just got too much stuff. From the water membrane, that's 30K, baby. 30 times the reason you ain't gonna get wet. Super warm. If it's cold in the wintertime, you put on your Hydronaut, you're gonna be a much more comfortable person. If you don't want to just look sexy at Dairy Queen, wear your Hydronaut. We got it from small to 5X. Most rain gear does not come in that many sizes. You got waist adjusting straps. We can make it fit you no matter what the environment is. We want you to be comfortable. We want you to be dry. You gotta check it out. It ain't gonna let you down.
Elite Series Pro Daryl Gleason here. My Pro Guide batteries keep me going on those long tournament days and long practice days. Always plenty of juice, never fail. The best part about Pro Guide batteries, it's the people behind the company. They have over 40 years experience in the battery business, keeping all of us fishermen out on the water longer, catching more fish. Check them out at ProGuideBatteries.com.
What's up, Bass Talk Live fans? Brandon Palaniuk here. And ever since I won a couple Bassmaster Elite Series events on X-Zone Lures, I've been getting a bunch of questions of what makes them so special and different. And really, the truth is, it's in the details. The little details, things like no cheap fillers in their plastic. That gives you more lifelike action, more realistic and vibrant colors. But don't just take my word for it. Go to www.xzonelures.com and check them out for yourself.
All right, welcome back, BTL, on a Monday night with Dave Mercer. And I saw one of the comments that said, "Man, I've learned more about Mercer." Yeah, dude, I've learned a lot about you tonight. We didn't really go over what we were going to talk about or what we weren't going to talk about. It was just like, hey, let's give away a bunch of AFCO stuff and see where it goes. Hopefully, it's gone down a acceptable path.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean,
hey, I do have a question though. You know, Gerald Swindle's on there and he does that. You want to look sexy at Dairy Queen and all that. Is there anyone that can hold a candle to him when it comes to popularity and influence in the industry? I mean, dude, I think he's number one. Right now, where we are right now, the guy elicits such a positive reaction from look at the shows that you do with him. Look at the shows that everybody does with him. They've got more views than everything. He's on more advertising than anything. The guy is an absolute rock star when it comes to that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know who the biggest is, but he's definitely, if you're making a short list, he is definitely in the top 2, top 3. I mean, I'm trying to think of who's ahead of him, and I don't know that anyone is. But I will say this, I've always said this, and I've said this for a long time, and it seems like every year it becomes more and more. There's nobody who can win in professional bass fishing that will move the needle. Like when Gerald Swindle finally wins an elite or a classic, there is no victory that could be bigger than that. Like, I really do not think there is anybody right now in the sport of professional fishing that people want to win more than Gerald Swindle. And man, for whatever reason, I feel, and me and Palaniuk talked about it. I had Palaniuk on the show the week after I did the show with Swindle, and Palaniuk brought it up, and I agree. I feel like G is closer to a victory right now than he maybe ever has been in the past, just because he is in a very healthy spot. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like G's gone through a lot of evolutions, and it's got to be incredibly tough to be Gerald Swindle, because, I mean, if you're having a bad day, nobody wants to see that Swindle. You know what I mean? Everybody wants to see the Swindle they see on stage all the time. Well, it's a lot of weight to bear, I think. But I think Gerald Swindle is more comfortable in his skin today than he ever has been.
Let me ask you this. You've literally called every Elite Series winner for the past decade. God, decade. Holy cow.
Over that. This will be my 13th classic.
That's awesome.
Crazy.
How do you rationalize the fact that Gerald Swindle has 2 Angler of the Year titles and so many classics and an open win? He has won an open in 2011. Yeah. But then you have other anglers, and you're not taking away, but journeyman anglers who have multiple. Some of them have 2 or 3 Elite Series wins, and have never competed for an Angler of the Year and don't have that pull. Like, I sometimes have a hard time wrapping my mind around that in this sport, because this is the only sport. Part of the reason why sometimes I've wavered between calling it a competitive activity and a sport where that could happen.
And he's had wins. You know what I mean? Like, he's had them, but they get taken from him for whatever reason. You know what I mean? Like,
he never loses them. He gets beaten.
He gets beaten, or he had a fish care penalty to the one where Rojas ended up winning on Toledo Bend, which Swindle would have won. It's an anomaly, but I also think, and this is some old guy talk coming out here. When I was just, and not much younger, 10 years ago, when I thought about it, I would try to come up with different reasons why. And to me, it seems more apparent. Like, I feel like Gerald Swindle needs to have that challenge. He needs to have, there's not a pro, very few pros. Like, if you went out and said, hey, today, genie in a bottle, you can be Gerald Swindle, nobody would say, I don't want to have that career. He is one of the most successful pros out there, 2-time Angler of the Year. But I feel like it makes his PMA stuff, his positive mental attitude stuff, it makes that stronger by him not winning. Because you know what? It's easy to be Mr. PMA if you win all the time. Like, there's been a lot of people pointing back and saying, well, yeah, what trials and tribulations do you deal with in your life? So there's part of me that, weirdly enough, I honestly do feel that if you're really lucky, you are exactly where you're meant to be. And I feel like Gerald Swindle is one of those people. And for whatever reason, I know that he's going to get that victory, but I just think this is the greatest build in the history of the sport. Like, and that's the speech I give to anglers when they lose a big event. Backstage, I gave it to Hank Cherry at his first classic. I'm like, man, that was painful what happened to you on the stage, but trust me.
Yeah, well, you guys made him watch it 6 times. On the big
I didn't
screen.
know that was happening. Like, just so people get a walk in my life, I'm up on the stage. I didn't even know he lost the fish. I don't pay attention on the last day, just generally, so my reaction at the classic is real. So I didn't know what was going on. And all I hear in my ear is, we're going to play some footage of a few fish that Hank lost. Okay. So when I set it up, and then when they said again, and it was painful, like the whole arena, like Hank had to sit down on the stage and it was crushing. But then my boss in my ear says, and we're going to play it again.
and your little earpiece.
I don't like my job right now, but I still feel it. And he even admitted it, at the time it was so painful, but that build is what makes people want somebody to win. That's what made Jason Christie's victory this past year so special, because we saw him get crushed time after time after time. And is it ever going to happen? But when it did happen, everybody wasn't just cheering for an athlete. They were cheering for somebody that they felt like they related to, somebody who they had a investment in, a personal investment in. And I think there is nobody that people are more personally invested in than Gerald Swindle. So why it's happened?
Dude, you sold me. I don't think Gerald would be nearly as beloved and popular as he is if he had 4 or 5 Elite Series trophies. I mean, he still would be, but dude, you're 100% right. It makes him relatable. Not that the other guys who win aren't, but that's real interesting. That's some real deep psychology stuff there, Dave. Interesting. Michael makes a great point. He says, hey, G-Man winning the Classic would be like when Dale Sr. won the Daytona 500 in 98. If you watch that race ending, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I mean, that's about the only thing you compare it to. You know what I mean? Like and I'm certain it's going to happen. I'm certain it's going to happen. For whatever reason, I just like, and it wasn't always, but I'm like, it's going to happen. Like, it's just, when I watch what he's giving to the sport now, like, I mean, sure, he's the dude who comes up on the stage and makes a bunch of people laugh. But when I watch the time he spends with anglers and the mentor that he has become,
that's what mind screws me, because he deserves the win. But listen, Dave, we thought Aaron was going to win the Classic too. I mean, it was inevitable. He was going to finish 2nd and 4, and he was going to get his Classic champ. Nothing's guaranteed in life.
Bad example, because I believe Aaron would have.
Yeah, so do I.
You know what I mean? So,
and if he won one, he probably would have won like 3 in a row. And then he'd have been like, dude, this is so easy. I don't know why it was so hard for so long.
No wonder Kevin's having so much fun.
And we thought Kevin was 100% going to pass Rick for 5 Classics. I've had that conversation.
Yeah, that.
I guess that's what makes a win so special. I mean, you've got all sorts of things, outside influences and inside influences and mental things and magical things that have to happen.
What, winning?
Yeah, winning.
Yeah, no, totally. There's so many things involved. You know what I mean? That people, it's not like a normal sport. You have to overcome. No other sport is played in a public playing field. You watch Jason Christie.
Yeah.
Christie 100% lost a Classic because of a public spectator. Like, you don't ever hear that. You're never like, dude, it's like stuff out of a movie.
Yeah.
The guy, Shooter McGavin, showed up. Dude showed up and, hey, Jack,
Edwin's got 27.
See you at the Big Sizzler.
Dude, you know what's interesting? I was listening to something. I was listening to something just like yesterday, and it was about how you can be the most talented person. It was about fighting, right? It could be like, you could be the best fighter at punching a bag and have the best technique and have 10,000 kicks, but does not make you a good fighter. What makes you a good fighter is what you do when the heart rate spikes and the adrenaline and the pressure was there. And there's no way to simulate a life-threatening or an important other than to be in it and see how you react.
Yeah. And
which is why you see sometimes guys be like, he did what? Well, because I mean, dude, you have to go through that. You have to suck at it.
It's an evil sport that way. There's nobody, I mean, with the exception of Kevin, literally there's nobody who didn't go through that climb. And people forget that Kevin went through that in some ways in a different way. Before Kevin won his first Classic, the big story was, will KVD ever win the big one? Sure, he can win Angler of the Year. Sure, he can win these invitational events, but will he ever win the big one?
He was really pumped when he won that first one.
Yeah.
At the Monkey. But then there's a great point there, Matt. Quinlan said Roland never has a Classic. I mean, we got Scott out there with Unfinished Family Business. He got 9 Angler of the Years and no class. Like, how does that happen?
I don't know.
It's
I
weird,
mean,
man.
how the classic happens is pretty simple, though. I mean, you get one shot at it a year, and the more shots you take at that classic, the more pressure it goes on your shoulder, especially when you're Roland. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Could you imagine what it was like? You've won 9 Angler of the Years. I think he's won 19 Bassmaster tournaments, and you can't win the classic. Like, the amount of pressure that he would put on himself and that spectators would put on him and everything. But see, that's why I think Swindle's in the perfect place, because he wants it so bad and the industry wants it for him, but there's also not that same weird pressure on him. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, Swindle, be who you are. And the more people are themselves in this sport, the more I find that they're successful.
That's a great point. I mentioned this before the break. You've gotten to hang out with some really cool people who like fishing. Is there a common thread between all of the, what I would say, big 4, big 5 sports celebrities, the fighters or something, when you get them on the boat, whether it's a fighter or Bickle or, any of those guys, do they all have the same kind of passion for fishing, and they become a different person when they're on the water than when you see them in their element?
This is going to sound bad in some ways, but for a lot of them, there isn't. For a lot of them, fishing's so different. A lot of them, they don't even think of it like a sport. They just think of it as a pastime. You see them. They're leaned on the cowling on the back deck. They're throwing lackadaisical. You know what I mean? They don't even, when you look at how they are in an octagon, how they are in their arena, whatever that may be, you're just like, how is this the same person? But then you also realize that that's where they're that, and here this is relaxing. There's some exceptions. I would say Brian Bickle is the biggest exception that I've ever fished with. I believe that Brian Robinson is probably the same. I haven't fished.
Yeah, he's all in
with Brian, but there's, we've talked about fishing for freaking years, and we need to make it happen. But I feel I know enough hanging out with him that he's got to have the same thing. But Bickle, from day one when I fished with him, I'm like, this dude fishes. This dude is, if he didn't play hockey and you went fishing with, you'd be like, this guy's a player. And he's obsessed with it, and he looks at it as a sport. But there is a lot of them that just, like, it's a pastime, which is also kind of cool, because I think we forget about that. Like, I think in our lives, we just think it's all this, it's all technical, it's all whatever. But it's cool to see people that the majority of our sport is just like them. They go to fish to relax, to kick back and take a load off. But there is a few that are very, very good. And I'm telling you, Bickle, if Bickle ever he's going to fish 3 opens this year. He's fishing the Northerns, or whatever the division's called.
Oh, really? As a boater?
Yeah. Yeah. He's fishing 3 of them. He's fishing those 3. Oh, that's
cool.
Yeah. No, he's all signed up and looking for. He was actually signed up before.
He fish whatever bank he wants to. He fish anywhere he wants to on the lake.
Get off my bank.
You want a Stanley Cup rig knuckle sandwich?
See, the weirdest thing about him too is, like, I bring him places and I'm always bigging him up. He's my buddy. You know what I mean? You know who this guy's? You'd never know it, other than like he's a bigger guy. You'd never be like, that's a dude who won 3 cups or anything.
That's because hockey players are classy and respectful.
Very classy. Very classy,
right.
quiet.
Speaking of classy, let's give away another AFCO garment, Dave Mercer.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, we'll do 2. Let's go with one of yours and then one of mine, and then I'll have 1 left and you'll have 3 left. Let's go with the Tactical HD shirt.
Yes.
From Dave Mercer's personal collection.
Yes.
I'm going to continue to start scrolling here. Let's just keep scrolling. There. Give me a second. You want me to go towards the top or towards the bottom?
Stop.
Well, this is just awkward.
What?
Lane Clark wins again.
That's some bullcrap, Lane.
I swear. You can't rig this. Yeah. He's got to win, because I'm not a believer in you already won, you can't win again.
I'm sorry, guys. Lane seems to be taking it all.
And he's not making like an inordinate amount of posts.
All right. Well,
He's
congratulations.
posted like
Lane.
3
We
times.
all love you now.
Lane, you have a lot of 2X garbage headed your way with the
Get eaten.
with the with the tactical HD shirt.
I
Send
feel like we're
another
having a nice conversation. It keeps getting interrupted by giving away stuff.
I feel different. Have another send me another email that says you won that. And if you want Dave to autograph too. Lane says that's what Christy went back when he said he could punch someone in the face while fishing Harwell. Remember that? He said, didn't he say he was like so jacked up he wanted to punch someone in the face after he caught one of his first fish?
Yeah, I think something like that. Or
Lane Clark's having one heck of a weekend.
a big weekend. A big weekend.
He's got half of Mercer's wardrobe and a couple trophies to show for it.
Should we give away something else real quick? Yeah. Come on.
All right, Lane. Hopefully you're an extra large glove.
Okay, good. Lane's got gloves.
Hold
I thought
on.
you were giving him the tactical HT shirt.
I am. I was a joke that he was going to win a third thing.
Oh.
See what I was saying there?
For hilarity.
Are we going to rule Lane out for a third thing, or should we go for the hat trick? I mean, it's
no. If he wins, he wins. I'll be better at my telling
that
you
proves that I'm not looking, or that it's just completely random. You just tell me.
Are you spinning?
Yeah, I'm spinning.
Stop. Survey says
Drew, Bradstreet Fishing. Travis, yes. Travis said G-Man wins Knoxville and there will be 2 goalposts in the river.
Gosh,
because you know
imagine?
That's what they do.
I know. I've spent enough time in the Americas now that I understand what they do.
That's what Tennessee does after they beat Alabama.
Uh-huh.
They take the goalpost and they chuck him in the river. That is a great comment, Drew. That is a great response to it. Send me an email, matt@basszone.com. These are the new Element glove. They feel fancy. So they're like fleece lined inside, but they have that kind of, I'm about to go on a mission. You know, like you've ever put on like a football glove or like a goalie glove in soccer where like when you strap them up, you're like, I'm about to do something. That's the feel you get from these gloves. Nice. Tactical on the inside, outside. Great driving glove. My favorite crappie fishing glove.
It's like the home shopping network for men.
Drew Bradstreet Fishing. Gloves.
Congratulations.
Yes. In the email, matt@basszone.com. Tell me what you won, which were the tactical gloves.
Congrats.
Yeah. Who's going to win Angler of the Year in 2023? You called it last year. For those of you who weren't aware of it, literally before the year, it is on video. It is on camera calling Brandon Palaniuk winning Angler of the Year. Who you got this year, Dave?
BP's going back to back.
For a third Angler of the Year to put him in rare company.
Well, I mean, be honest. They did a video with me after. I mean, I forgot that I called it right. But I did. But they did a video and I said, went out on a limb and said, you're going to win too, but I kind of was on the video. So I had to, but if I'm going anybody other than him going back to back, there's 2 guys who stand out when you look at the schedule, Greg Hackney and Jason Christie, because I think that this schedule sets up very well for them. And yeah, but
you're not going
BP back to back. Why not? Ballsy.
Okay. BP back to back for the Angler of the Year. All right.
Why not?
No, that makes perfect sense.
Dude, the amount of time he spends like improving himself is embarrassing. Like he won Angler of the Year and went home and trained for months the whole time he was at home because he felt like he could have won it better.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
He said his arms were getting tired at certain points and stuff. And he's like, I need to do better. I should feel better. I shouldn't be distracted by this. And he's at the height of his game. If he doesn't win Angler of the Year this year, he's going to be in the mix.
When it's all said and done, yes or no, Brandon Palaniuk, top 5 angler of all time when you take into account his entire body of work, including on, off the water, what he's done for the sport?
I'm going yes.
I think it's no brainer.
I mean, then that's rare air, top 5 all time. but I'm saying that, dude, he's a special individual, and I get hammered all the time because I always talk big about him. But I mean, from the day I met Brandon, I was like, man, this dude thinks different. He acts different. And people that are like that and people that are committed. Now, anything can happen. Like he's now entering the part where it can all go awry. He's got a kid. He's married. You know what I mean? But I also feel like Tiffany is as driven as Brandon is. So but as long as he can stay locked in, I think he's going to be a very scary character to deal with. I mean, statistically, if you get Ken Duke on here, he hasn't even hit his prime yet.
Yeah, Duke's too busy.
Wheeler hit his prime yet.
Talking about fake world record largemouth now with the old Big Bass podcast. That's a good listen. If you listen to it, it does. I've been like yelling at the iPhone, like, why the hell doesn't he have that record? Jake Horn points out Mercer has told everyone on his podcast this year that they're going to win this year. If he doesn't tell that to you, if he doesn't tell you that you're going to win, I'll be disappointed, Pegger. I'm thankful for their guests. I do tell them they're going to win.
It is. Thanks for screwing up the charade, Jake.
Well, I'm just saying, what are you supposed to end it with? Hey, thanks for having on. You know what? I'm going to call, I think you're going to have a tough go of it this year, buddy. The schedule doesn't set up for you. I wasn't really pleased with your attitude. I'm thinking classic bubble at best.
And that's a win for you. That's a win.
That's a win.
I don't think I've told everyone, but I've told a lot. Yeah, I have.
Well, you've also started out of the gates with like every top angler in the world. So, literally every angler you've had on probably will win this year.
And then just imagine how many more I'll get. That's what I hate about, actually, I love podcasts. I really love it. And I feel like it's the show that I do has gotten its spot almost. You know what I mean? Like it's a little different than BTL. It's
good stuff.
But what I hate about it is I hate asking people, to be honest. That's if I could leave, like if I could get rid of that, like and not that anyone ever says no, but one dude did say no, but let's not bring that up. But it's a weird, awkward. I just feel like I'm asking no people to buy cookies, my kids' cookies.
You had someone say no too.
I did have someone say no.
But did you ask them first? Because I preemptively had an angler just inform me that if hell froze over, he still would not be a guest on BTL.
I believe that angler is the guest on my show this week, actually. No joke.
Bob McInnis would like to know, this cracked me up. 4-pound test guy from Japan gets how many wins this year?
What? Which 4-pound test guy?
Takumi Ito.
Takumi Ito?
He's the rookie, right?
Oh no, you're speaking of hey, here you want to I'll bring you behind the scenes here. You want to learn how I say Japanese anglers' names?
He's the young dude. He caught him on 3-pound test at Oneida. Koyu Fujita. That's right. Yeah. He caught him on 3-pound test at Oneida this year, Dave. 3-pound test. He's out on the shoal and we're all sitting there going, what in the heck is this guy doing? He's doing donuts in his boat's spinning around. He's chasing down 4-pound smallmouth on 3-pound test. That's what he's doing. He's literally made like 10 casts the entire day. And then he spent 6 hours fighting smallmouth on 3-pound test. That's not an exaggeration.
I'm excited to watch them. Here's how I learn Japanese anglers' names so I don't screw them up. I call Sego, and Sego sends me a video file. Listen. Oh, this is horrible.
Koya
Fujita. That's how.
Koya Fujita.
Koya Fujita.
I shared a hot dog with Koya Fujita.
Say that over and over again.
Yeah, I shared a hot dog with Koya Fujita. at I mean, not the same, not the same hot dog. He had a different hot dog.
Would have been cute, one at each end. Just
and I met him, and he's cool, a little bitty guy. Likes the layers. He'll go like long sleeve, then 3/4 sleeve, then short sleeve, and then he'll layer the pants the same way.
Well, he's a slender man.
He is. All right, we got a bunch to go, a bunch of more stuff to give away. All right, if you have a question for Dave Mercer, we're going to take a second commercial break here. Get your questions into Dave on the instant feedback. And if you have a question for Mercer, we will get to those when we come back. Sound good?
Sounds wonderful.
All right, BTL Monday night, BTL at night with Dave Mercer. We will be back right after this.
I'm the kind of guy that never leaves the house without a pocket knife, and Gamakatsu's come out with the EDC series of knives. EDC stands for everyday carry, so whether you're on the water or off, you can always have it with you. The best thing about it to me is that assisted open feature. With this D2 blade, you've got it right here at your fingertips, so if you can't find your scissors, you need to cut a knot, you need to cut your braid, you've always got it. Make sure you check it out. Never leave home without your Gamakatsu EDC knife.
Preparation is key to success. And that preparation starts well before you ever hit the water. You're only as strong as your connection to the fish, and your line is that critical connection. Confidence in your line every minute of every day on the water is a necessity, and failure, it's not an option. Sunline makes the fluorocarbon, nylon, and braided lines to give you the strength to guarantee your confidence.
The great thing about the new Sensation soft plastics from Big Bite Baits, heavily scented, super soft, buoyant, comes in 7 great new shapes. I've got a couple of them of my signature series, the cliffhanger worm and the ramtail craw, great for a flipping jig, football jig, swim jig, all that. Several other great shapes. Really excited about it. We've worked over the last year, catches fish all over the country, and I think it's going to catch fish for people everywhere you try it.
The Spro Little John crankbait has been around for almost 15 years, and it is one of my go-to crankbaits whenever I need a fish in the boat, so you can never have enough new colors. That's why Spro's coming out with a handful of new colors, including Pearl Shad, which has this bleached out white look, but it's got this pearlescent, really pretty. We've got Copper Shad, which looks amazing in the water. It's got that purple flake on the back, really pops in the water. And then if you want some real pop, we've got Sparkle Shad, nothing but sparkles all over this thing. And then last but not least, we've got the matte Sexy Shad, just a really different looking color for a crankbait. So you want to give them a little different look, that matte Sexy Shad is definitely the one to go with. All these colors are available in the original Little John and the MD.
Have you considered purchasing new electronics for your rig? The type of mounts you choose to protect your investment should be part of the decision-making process. No matter if you prefer 1, 2, or 3 graphs up front, Beatdown Outdoors has a solution for you. Adjustable, versatile, rigid, and made in the USA. What's your ultimate electronics setup? Check out the full selection of Beatdown Outdoors products by visiting beatdownoutdoors.com. All right, welcome back. BTL at night with Dave Mercer. I'm looking over the...
I'm texting you to say, pick some juicy questions.
Is that really what you were texting me? There were
100%.
some juicy ones. There's over 100 comments in that commercial break. All right, let me mute that. All right, I'm just gonna. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna rapid fire questions at you.
All right,
and then
I'll give long-winded answers.
Oh, I mean, it's up to you. You're the one with the family. I'm just alone in my house. I'm gonna scroll up and then I'll just start rapid questions. I'm probably not even gonna read some of them. Will a Canadian win this year? Connor Nicholson.
That's a weak question, but yes. I think so. Actually, I'm going to say, I mean, a lot of people don't pay attention, but 2 out, I believe 3 out of the last 4 years, there's been a Johnston in the top 3 for Angler of the Year. So I'm going to say, yes, we will see another Canadian victory. Coop, who's coming, is as buttoned down a young pro as I've ever known. He's actually somebody who, Cooper Gallant, Elite Series rookie, he's actually somebody who it's going to be so weird to have him there because Coop was, I mean, the Johnsons were, I knew them since they were little kids.
Coop's still a kid.
He's still a kid, but I mean, he's so buttoned down and so focused. It's amazing. It's almost like, you know, an evolution like that. You know, there's the Johnsons and those guys. Well, here comes Coop, and he's learned from everything that they're doing, and a lot of people are doing. And Coop's going to be a player, I think, on the Elite Series as well. So I'd say, yeah, we'll see a Canadian win this year, or else my tires will probably be flat when I go outside.
All right, Anthony would like to know what bait you think is going to dominate this year.
Probably something on a spinning rod because of forward-facing sonar.
Fair point. Todd Smith. Yeah, that's a great. I see what you did there. He wants to know who your guest is next week. Warren Bede, Patrick Mahomes over under 3 touchdowns in the Super Bowl.
I'm going to say 3. Yeah, 3's good. I mean, I'll take 3 from him. I think Patrick Mahomes is. If you're a Chiefs fan, you need to pray because what we got through that game with was the most like forever. And here's the other thing. No matter what Patrick Mahomes accomplishes in his career, people are going to make excuses. Before it was Tyreek Hill. It was the reason that they won. Now they literally have, I mean, the guys on the field didn't go to Penn State. They went to Penn. they you know, 7th round draft picks and people that like, it's not, I mean, the guys that he was throwing to last night and after all those injuries, for them to get through, it's incredible. And for those of you that thought that last call was unsportsmanlike, shouldn't have been called, you didn't watch the NFL this year or last year because that's all day long. And referees do suck, though. I'll give you that. Referees suck in pro sports, and I think we need to fix that because we live in a time where they literally can put a chip on the ball and know exactly where it is. We don't need to have stupid sticks and running up and down the field. We have a chip in a ball and we can say it's this far. So anyways, I digress. But yes, Patrick Mahomes, 3 touchdowns and his 2nd Super Bowl.
He really did.
He's been out of the last 4 years. They've been to the Super Bowl. This will be the 3rd trip out of the last 4 years.
He's good. Yeah, I'm not denying that. And you really did text me, pick some juice questions. So we'll do it. Bob McInnis would like to know, Dave, who do you wish the most to be on the Elite Series who currently isn't?
That's easy. Kevin Van Dam. I think it's a travesty that he's one of my best friends on earth. Talked to him today. I think it's a travesty that he's not there. If anything could change, I'd love to have KVD back on the Elite Series.
All right.
And a whole bunch of other guys. But I'm happy with the dudes on the Elite Series. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, that was the question. Bob wasn't asking about the guys on the Elite Series. He was asking about the guys not on the Elite Series. KVD, the initials, back on the Elite Series in Dave's perfect world. Yeah. Macaulay Outdoors. Dave, what has been your favorite classic?
Ugh. That's a tough one. I get asked that all the time, and I have a hard time picking. The Christie Classic was pretty phenomenal. But Chris Lane was pretty phenomenal.
Dude, that's mine too. 2012 there with the knee on the ground, Bobby Lane neck tackling him, just the whole way it went down. That's my favorite is the 2012.
Yeah, but those are they're probably the top 2, I'd say. The Jordan Lee ones were pretty freaking phenomenal too, which I love because they were just comebacks and crazy things, and they're all special in their own way. It's really tough to pick one.
I messaged him either today or yesterday, came out with his own signature series jig, and it looks pretty freaking good. The LOB.
Chris or Bobby?
No, this is the next question that I'm setting up. The LOB jig from Luke Duncan. I said, I know what it's like to kind of work on a bait or a lure. It doesn't happen overnight. So if you guys have a chance, go out and check I think it's called the LOB jig from Luke Duncan. He just debuted it at a show. That being said, Dean Lyons said, Mercer, will you ever make amends with Luke Duncan?
That'd be a negative, Ghost Rider.
All right. Moving on.
Listen, I wish Luke Duncan nothing but all the success and happiness in the world. But happiness is the most important thing in the world. And for as proud as I was of the 20 weeks of LD and the MC that we did together, I think it was a really cool show. I think me and Luke have a great chemistry together. It ain't worth it, though. It ain't worth it. I mean, he wants to, and I hate to even comment on this because it's just.
Well, you know, you did. You're good. You said you wanted the juice questions.
Let me finish. It's going to start up it's how he gets traffic, dude. I mean, go through his podcast. It's always with a negative thing, and I'm not about that. And what that turned into was the biggest bullcrap thing ever, and it ain't worth it. So, I honestly wish him nothing but the most success and happiness in life. I'll always hold a special part to him. But unless that dude totally changes, life's too short to mess with that crap. And I hope his jig does wonderful. Wow, that was very open and honest, wasn't it?
No, that's good. Like I said, I'm a anti-conflict guy, so I'm like literally cool with everyone. And when I'm not cool with someone, it like literally like bothers me. It's probably a personality trait to want to be liked instead of just be like, hey, this is how I feel, and then like stand my ground. That's just how I am.
No, dude. And hey, trust me.
I wish I had the balls to just be like, and I don't like you, and you, and you.
No, but I'm not like that with anyone.
No, I know. I'm not saying you. I just say it in general.
But dude, let's not get this wrong. I mean, he likes to point out different people that tried to. What do you think he tried to do to my career?
I have no idea. That's
a whole special on me.
You said you wanted the juice questions. This will also get you in trouble. Okay. Nick would like to know the top Canadian to most likely win the Classic. The top Canadian, not the top Canadians. You get one name, Dave, which means the other Canadians will be at your throat.
Well, that's an easy one to answer, though. Gussie, he won there before, so I'm going Gussie.
Oh, that is kind of easy.
Yeah, I got it. See how I got it.
You did get that because, yeah, you got that because both of the Johnsons and Cooper would be like, well, yeah, he has one there before this time of the year.
Coop won just down the road, though, at Cherokee. So he's not one to be taken lightly either.
Let me go through here to the questions. I don't really know much about Connor Bedard. I know he's like a freak show who's coming into the NHL.
Oh, yeah, the little 16-year-old punk. Oh, my God, he's good.
Yeah.
He's so good.
Yeah, he's like the next Crosby.
Yeah, he's so good. If I was his father, I'd put him on steroids right now because he's only 5'10". He's kind of a smaller dude, but he is so good. I would put him on steroids, get him that. In Vegas, they can do an operation where they actually make you taller. Maybe get him that done or whatever.
Really? Dude, some of those, like, you don't understand. So back in the day when I was playing juniors, I made the main camp, which is a big deal for the NAHL, which is one of the top tier American junior leagues. And I was on the same main camp tryout team as Michael Davies, who was 5'5". He went on to have a vaulted AHL career and captain of Wisconsin. You would not believe what that kid could do at 5'5". He's the fastest, quickest. I mean, I got cut from the team in the final cut, and he went on to then get promoted to the USHL and go on for a professional career. But at 5'5", it was nuts how good he was and how he was able to survive.
Yeah, but until you get to the NHL, and then it's not so good, right?
Yeah, Scott. No, I mean, who do you have? You have Martin St. Louis and Theo Fleury.
Nobody even wants to hear this banger.
We've
talked about Ireland.
I don't care. It's BTL. It's a studio in my house. We talk about whatever the heck I want to talk about. Yeah, we're holding strong. Scott would like to know if anybody has recommendations for a place to stay in Knoxville for the Classic.
I'm the worst person to ask. I don't even know where I'm staying.
You're staying wherever they book wherever they book.
The nice thing about Knoxville is to say this: it is my favorite host city for a Classic because everything's right there. You have takeoff, everything. You can literally get to all of it by walking. So it's nice, unlike
Yeah.
some others where we got to drive a long way.
Bobby Colson would like to know who said no to Mercer. You said you wanted the juice questions.
Wow.
You're getting the juice questions. You don't have to answer them.
Okay,
I'm just asking
I'll
them.
just tell you, we already talked about him on this podcast, and he's one of my favorite winning moments for the Bassmaster Classic. And Christy was on 2 weeks ago.
I didn't follow that. Maybe someone else did.
Well,
Wait,
okay.
give the clues again.
We already talked about him as one of my favorite winning moments of the Bassmaster Classic.
Oh, I got you. Really?
Yeah, I was shocked. Super shocked. I wanted to have him and his brother on. But,
what is that? I don't even know what this means. Dave, what are your thoughts on Alberta going free?
No idea what that means myself. Go free. What does that mean?
Who will be the first Canadian angler of the year? Now you're getting into the pickle because now you're doing the whole year.
Chris Johnson.
Okay,
I mean,
that's who I was.
you have to go with statistically. He's been the guy who's threatened for it more. So I'm going Chris Johnson.
Do you have a fundraiser that you do? Like I'm doing St. Jude's this year and stuff. You have a Mercer fundraiser?
Casting for a Cure.
Okay.
Yeah,
we've
done
is.
that
Corey
for
Wood.
years. Yeah.
Dave, what is that?
We raise money for, it's actually evolved. I mean, at one time it was all for, it was started after my mom passed, and it was for cancer charity. And it's kind of evolved, and we do some stuff for cancer. We also do some stuff for autism charities and different camps that kids benefit from. So it's kind of been all over the place. But really the cool thing about it is we've done a lot of work with it, but really it's supported by so many different bass clubs. Like, for example, there's a bass club near me, Durham Anglers Association. They have a tournament every single year, and they raise a bunch of money for it. So it's cool to work with a bunch of different clubs and raise money for it.
All right. If people want more information on Casting for a Cure, they got a website.
Yeah, there's a part on our website. If you check on factsofishing.com, if you still go to website,
I know that's weird, isn't it?
For a Cure, there's a little section in there which says what we're up to and that sort of thing.
All right, you good for some more questions? I promised I wouldn't keep you 2 hours, and we're rapidly
it's
approaching.
Fine. It's fine. You've already made me talk about all sorts of stuff that I haven't talked about in years. So
you literally asked. You sent me the text. I've got a screenshot of the text right now.
I didn't mean juice like. Well, no, I did actually. I guess.
Brandon McAllister, what's your guess on the biggest bag of the year this year? Good question.
32 pounds.
Sack.
It's a sack.
Who's your favorite all-time Kansas City Chief?
Well, freaking Patrick Mahomes. St. Patrick, the patron saint of the Kansas City Chiefs, saved us. But before that, Nigerian Nightmare. I was a big fan of him. That's going way back. But yeah, no, I've got a lot of Chiefs that I've been fans of, but nobody tops Patrick Mahomes. And then I'd say number 2's got to be Travis Kelce. And Tyreek Hill used to be up there, but not so much anymore.
What model Phoenix are you running?
921 PHX. The best deep water bass boat I've ever fished out of.
In your opinion, is Jason Christie or Taco E2 better at live scope?
I don't think there's many people better than Takumi Ito at live scope. I think Jason Christie's a lot better than people give him credit at, but I think Takumi Ito is incredible at live scope.
Name your top 3 live scopers or forward facing sonar, because there's a lot of guys who use the active target that are really good at it in the world right now that are fishing at a professional level, including the BPT and the Elite Series.
Takumi Ito, John Sukup, and
you going Patrick?
Bunch. That's where I'm kind of leaning.
Or Edwin, or Jacob.
Jacob Wheeler's got to be. No, at 3 there's a bunch. There's Wheeler.
You got to pick one.
I'll go Patrick Walters.
Okay. Taco, Takumi Ito,
Mm-hmm.
John. And everyone's about to find that out in a couple weeks here. And Patrick Walters.
Yeah.
All
but
right.
I think there's a lot. Like, and I think that is, I mean, that's what a lot of dudes are working on. They're all really good at it. But I mean, there's guys like Takumi Ito. Takumi Ito chases fish. I mean, he says it on stage all the time, and I say it, and people don't pick up on it. But he literally gets on the bumper of a fish and chases it for 45 minutes until it eats.
What state or lake do you enjoy going to the most on the trail?
I like Tennessee. Tennessee's good. I mean, they all have a special place. My favorite crowd ever in the history of bass, outside of classic crowds, because you got to remove them, is a place we'll probably never go back to. And it is a place that I'm probably going to hear bad things from them in the next 2 weeks. Philadelphia. There is no sports fan.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Like the crowd in Philadelphia. It was the craziest thing. Like I mean, if we could go back, I'd love to go back there.
What year was that? It was either 2013 or 2014.
I think 14.
Ike and Ellie wins. That's before things go, quote, viral on the internet, right? So I'm managing the pro staff for Pure Fishing. I did that in 2013 and 2014. So it's my job to not only replace 75,000 Ike and Ellie broken rods that miraculously got stepped on in the 3-footers and give power lizards to guys and stuff, but I also had to do like some media for him. So he goes past that wall and he goes, woo, and he revs it. And I'm like, cool. I got that on a cell phone. So I send it off and it goes viral. And it was the first thing I'd ever shot that went viral. It was the only thing that I've ever shot that went viral. And then he crowd surfed with the trophy in it. Yeah, dude, that's a great answer. That's a great answer to the question. Who was that? That was Luke Miller. You want to give away something to Luke Miller?
Yeah, let's give Luke something.
Okay.
What does he get?
Luke gets a... Hold on here. I'm getting back to it. Luke gets a ripcord vest from Dave Mercer.
There you go. Congrats, Luke.
Basic question, but a great answer that brought back some fond memories, flooded back. Luke Miller, Matt@basszone.com, BASSZONE.com. Say, hey, I won the ripcord vest with Dave Mercer. And if you would like him to autograph said ripcord vest, please include that in the email. I'm serious. That's a big deal. Dude, I want one of your classic shirts. All right. I'm going to scroll down and get to a couple more, else we'll be here for 3 hours. Dean Lyons would like to know, will your wife ever make an appearance on the podcast?
We'd get a lot better ratings if she would.
I just randomly picked that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'd be all for it. She's not so much the public speaker type person, but I'm sure she would. I mean, come on. I mean, I don't know. I'll ask her. She's listening to this. So, honey, chime in the comments. Will you ever come on the podcast?
Andy Parker would like to know where you think the Classic will be next year.
I have no idea.
I hope it goes back to somewhere in Oklahoma. I would love to see it go back in Oklahoma.
Where?
If the Eufaula.
Yeah.
The problem is you have to have a big enough city next to it, and there really isn't anyway. We're gonna see Eufaula completely exposed this year with the MPFL. I think there's a Toyota or an Invitational, MLF Invitational, and the Bassmaster Open going there. We're going to absolutely see how it is bar none the best tournament lake in the country, and how it can have all that pressure on it, and it does not affect the lake at all because it's 100,000 acres. It fishes like 6 different lakes. You're going to have guys in 10 foot of water throwing 10 clip foot of probably 6 foot of clarity. I'm exaggerating. Probably 5 foot of clarity. Throwing a football head on brush piles. Up lake, you're going to have guys flipping bushes and throwing a chatterbait, and 2 foot of visibility make it. You're going to have guys cranking riprap and make the top 10 in all the tournaments across the entire thing. And they're going to be 70 miles apart.
But there's nowhere to hold the weigh-in.
Yeah, that's a major issue. Major issue.
Yeah, but I have no idea. To be honest, I don't even ask those questions because I'm bad at keeping secrets. Just because I talk to a lot of people and I forget. Damn, this was what I wasn't supposed to say, and so I literally don't ask them. I'm like, let me know when you're announcing it.
Bass Fanatic would like to know who the worst at launching their boats in the morning is. It would have to be Scott Martin because he's always last minute. Wouldn't it?
Yeah, and he has like 18 camera people hanging off of different parts of it. But they're all pretty good, believe it or not. When they get to the Elite Series, they're pretty good. But I will tell you, and he's threatened for Angler of the Year a few times. David Mullins has the best. Like he had when he first joined the Elite Series, he had his Marshall back his truck in, and he had a pretty old truck at the time, and somehow said truck and trailer ended up all in the water and everything. It was a disaster. So that was how his Elite Series career started. But I mean, other than the odd little thing like that happens every once in a while, they're all pretty good. They're all pretty good at launching their boat.
All right. We're doing 3 more questions.
Okay.
We're an hour and 40 minutes in. You guys have been awesome. A lot of live
anyone
viewers
even
tonight.
Listening anymore, Penger?
Yeah, we got like 400 people on.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's been I mean, just depending. I mean, you started to answer the juicy questions and it literally spiked. Matthew Johnson, and I know Luke, it's not your
quick
job to cover the opens, but any thoughts on Ben Milliken jumping in the opens this year? Had him on BTL. He's been on a bunch of different podcasts. Any thoughts on that?
I'm very interested to see it. Me and Ben have talked for a while about doing a podcast together, but he's on every freaking like every time I look, I'm like, maybe I should call Ben to do a podcast. And I'm like, oh, he's on that podcast this week. So he's on like too many freaking podcasts to book him for the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really interested because I think Ben's an incredible angler. I think Ben knows a lot more about tournaments than people kind of think. And I think that I think he's gonna do well. I'm just interested in watching it go down.
Okay, I'm scrolling through like I said, we can literally do this for 4 hours, Dave. But I'm enjoying it. So I mean, that's really what this is about, right? As long as I'm enjoying it. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
If you had an intro song, what would it be? That's Chris Harney. That's worthy of a prize. Is that not worthy of a prize?
Sure.
I like that one. Chris Harney. I like that one. Let's do the hopefully you're a large. If you're an extra large, you can still fit in the large. Chris Harney, you have won the I have to remember the name of them. The F2 mid-layer pant. And it is pant, not pants, because there's like a promo deal of me going out there talking about the honcho pant, and the only comments are, who calls it a pant?
Let me put my pant on.
Yes. Matt at basszone.com. Chris Harney, message me. You won the pant.
I am so stuck though on that. Like, I mean, I guess I don't really have a song. I mean, I come out to Cult of Personality at the Elite events and at the
classics. Is that your choice or did that just happen?
No, I like that song. I'm a bit of a wrestling geek, and that's kind of where it came from. And really, the only reason I picked true story, the only reason I picked a song was because when I first started at Bass, I started the classic, and they're like, "What's your intro song?" And I was like, "I don't have an intro song." I said, "Just play whatever, play something upbeat." And I came out, and they played "Dude Looks Like a Lady." So I was like, from now on, I need to pick a song. So that's the kind of fun that we have at Bass. First day at the office, you've dreamed of this your whole life. I'm gonna walk out in the Bassmaster Classic.
Dude looks like a lady.
Dude looks like a lady. And for a few seconds, I didn't realize what was playing. I'm kind of dancing. I'm like, wait, these sons of.
All right. D Lions would like to know: does Roddy Moore cry about the refs in every sport while he's with you guys, or is that just on Twitter?
Oh no, he cries just as much in real life, maybe more.
Take a cheap shot.
Oh, I just answered the question.
I know. Roddy's all about the Arkansas Razorbacks now. I always like his play-by-plays for the sports. That's a dude who started in college. That's another dude. Like, I'm a product of college fishing. Ronnie's a product of college fishing. ECU came out, grinded, got his foot in the door, continued to grind, worked his way up.
Hard worker. He's a very, very hard worker. I'll tell you that.
I want to hear.
Not many people that will outwork Ronnie Moore.
All right. This is going to be the last question. This is the last question of the evening, Dave. And then we're going to give away the last 2 prizes.
Okay.
Jason would like to hear your personal favorite fishing story. Biggest, funniest, one that got away, anything. The best fishing story you have to round out BTL at Night with Dave Mercer on Monday, January 30th.
Oh. I'm trying to think of something that's not super long.
Well, it can be long. It just is up to you.
I'm horrible at this when you're like, and then I'll get off and I'll be like, wait, why didn't I tell this?
You've got to have some legendary fish stories.
I got a lot of them, but they all come out like while you're, you know what I mean? Like in conversation, somebody says something and then you're just like, oh yeah.
Well, have you ever had one on the show that you fought for like 3 hours or something? And then
yeah, well, I caught a shark once off and we literally had a dude, like a giant shark, maybe the world record Mako shark.
Is this your story that you're going to tell? Well, you got to tell that story now. So now you just box yourself into telling 2 stories.
Came out, we were 50 miles off the offshore. So we're in the middle of nowhere. You see nobody. And I'm fighting this shark and there's this giant trawler coming towards us. And I said to Art, the captain that I was with, I'm like, Art, this boat's coming. And he said, oh, don't worry. He'll turn away. And then we kept with that story. And then he got closer and closer and closer and ultimately ended up cutting off my line. And what happened was the guy had the boat like in autopilot, basically jammed, and he was down cooking and doing all sorts of crap. So he broke my fish off. But that's not even the best fishing story. You just said it. Did I ever want? I'll tell you a story that I've told a lot. And it's not really fishing, but it's something everybody in fishing has to deal with. And it is what makes fishing so different than anything else. You don't get a break. So people have to go to the bathroom on the water. And everybody has that story where it's bad when things work out bad. So anyways, I was pre-fishing for a tournament. And it's on the lake that I live on, actually. And it's like a mini Lake Okeechobee. So you can go for miles in like a foot of water that you can't even get on plane with. So I'm way back there and I get the stirring that all anglers have felt before. It's just in your stomach. And I'm like, I'll just keep fishing. I'm way back here. Like for me to get, and I remember looking and I'm like, that marina that I can get to is way up there. Cause I'm not a big aqua dumper. A lot of people like to go, I'm top heavy. I mean, it just doesn't work out good for me. So I try not to go to the bathroom on the water, or at least that time. I think I've mastered it now. So I'm out there and my stomach's burning. And I remember I read in a Reader's Digest, ironically, I was probably pooping at the time while I was reading said Reader's Digest, that if you sit down on a hard surface, it can make said urge go away. So I sat on the deck of the boat and I sat there for a few minutes and it went away. I'm like, whew, I'm good. Get back to fishing. So I get further back in the crap and then it came back. And now it came back, but it came back with like Montezuma's revenge. It was just like, bro, it was a situation that I was once in control of. And now I'm no longer in control of because, before I could have maybe made it to that marina. But now I'm like, this is coming out of me.
Yeah.
Whether I want it to come out of me or not want it to come out of me. There was 1 year, and I was fishing out of a Lund. I literally fished out of a Lund 1 year. And I'm literally like sweating. Like, everybody's been sick. I don't care. If it hasn't happened to you yet in your life, it's going to happen. But so I'm sweating and I've got to poop. And I'm like doing the dance on the front deck and I'm trying to figure out like where am I going to poop? Like, am I just going to hang it off the side? I don't want to be top heavy and topple over into the, and then it stood out to me like the holy grail. It glowed at the back of the boat. Wah! The minnow bucket. I mean, Lunds have a minnow bucket in them. There's like a minnow bucket, a part of your live well. So I'm like, perfect. I go to work in the minnow bucket, drop my pants, and it's like a freaking flock of swallows. Like, horrible visual. But if you've seen Dumb and Dumber, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I take care of business, and then I get up, I use a t-shirt or whatever to clean up said mess, and then I go back to fishing, but I've got a bucket full of what?
Swallows.
Yeah, swallows, formerly in me. I'm like, what do I do? So I don't condone littering, but in this situation, I'm like, I'm taking minnow bucket and throwing it off the side of the boat. So I threw the freaking minnow bucket off the side of the boat, and it floated away. And I thought, okay, we're good. And I'm fishing along, and like, this is an hour and a half later, I hear this boat way off in the distance, and it's just like a 9-9, like a tiller. You can hear it coming, and I know when you can hear people talking on the water, and they're louder than the motor. You can just hear them, whatever they're saying, but it sounds like Charlie Brown's teacher. You just hear, bah, 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 bah. So I hear them yelling and stuff, and I look, and I realize that their boat is coming this direction, and the yellow floating minnow bucket is like right in front of them, and they think they've hit the jackpot. Like, the one dude is literally leaning over the front of the boat. He's doing his best, impersonation from Titanic on the front deck of the boat, and he's pointing. Bucket. Go over to the right, go over to the left. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, what is going to happen here? So I did what any good respecting person would do. I mean, I can't stop them. I got my binoculars out. So I sat down and I watched this dude lean over the front deck of the boat, and he grabbed the giant poo bucket out, and you could just see the swallows flowing out the side of the poo bucket. And all I heard is just the most loudest, ridiculous profanity ever I've heard in my life. And from that day, I've never gone fishing without a minnow bucket, and I've never, ever wanted to pick up somebody's minnow bucket. So that's my greatest fishing story ever, I guess.
Oh, wow. All right. Jason Diddle, email me, matt@basszone.com, along with the garment, the pufferfish jacket, which is probably my favorite jacket in the lineup. Yeah, that story won you a jacket, Jason. Congratulations.
Sorry, y'all had to put up with that.
That's good stuff, man. Hey, before we give away the final, which is a hydronaut, a full hydronaut, pants and jacket.
Yes. And it's red, just like the freaking Kansas City Chiefs.
I've wanted a red one too.
It's right here. I got it.
Listen, there's tons of feedback. Granted, I know that some of the feedback is primarily because you're trying to win stuff, but also I love BTL listeners. They're like educated. They listen to everything. They show up. It's fantastic.
Hey, before we give this away, can I just say one thing, Matt?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
Every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Eastern time, watch Mercer, the podcast named after me, by me. How ridiculous is that?
No, it drops at 6 p.m.
6 p.m. Eastern every single Wednesday.
Yeah, and then you have an embarrassment of riches on your YouTube channel, because every single day you have something that drops, basically. So the Cull drops on Monday mornings.
Mm-hmm.
Just run through your schedule on what drops on Facts of Fishing.
Monday mornings, we drop the Cull. I think that's at 6 a.m. every single Monday with myself, Matt Panger. Then every single day, right around 11 o'clock, we drop a short, which is one of the underwater clips that I shoot throughout the year. And thankful to the amazing people. That has been a huge thing for our channel. Last year, we had 100 million plays on our YouTube channel, which is
holy cow,
unbelievable.
Did you get a plaque for 100 million plays?
No, they gave us a plaque for 100,000 subscribers, but we're closing in on 200,000 now. I think we're at like 180 something. But yeah, that's been huge for us. So we drop those every single day. And then on Wednesdays, we have the podcast. And then throughout the week, we also drop short segments of the podcast and Facts of Fishing shows, which is our original show. So actually me fishing. And weirdly enough, our podcast viewers have gotten so strong that, like, as I started the new season this year, people are like, wait, you do a TV show as well? I'm like, yeah, that's actually my main job before all of this crap. So yeah, there's something every single day, basically. That's and then impressive. On Monday nights when I'm bored, we just do this banger.
Yeah, well,
which
thank
has
you.
Been really fun, actually.
Have you enjoyed it? I appreciate it, man. Because I know you don't do this stuff a ton, and I was like, I was trying to get you in for a regular show. We never even touched on the 2023 Elite Series, which is fine. But
the future of podcasts, which was the other topic you said we were.
Well, yeah, we were going to have a whole show. That's how it usually works out, though. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for taking. 2 hours out of your life to do this. I don't take it for granted. And much appreciated, dude.
It's all fun, dude. I'm thankful to be on here, and honestly, I'm really just thankful that this many people took the time to listen to our tomfoolery.
It is. This will be out on all the podcast platforms, iTunes, Spotify, the whole 9 yards. And then also it is helpful for me. I've started to actually unashamedly ask for this now, Mercer, which is just the thumbs up of the YouTube on YouTube. So I originally just said, hey, put thumbs up. And then the comments just blew up with people giving thumbs up in the comments.
You got to put it on the actual video.
Yes, it has to be like the video. If you didn't like it, you can click the thumbs down. It might be satisfying for you to know that while you will not be able to see how many thumbs down, I will. So if that tickles your fancy, then yeah, there you go. Now everyone's doing it. All right, let's give this away. I think we scroll. Was there anything else that stood out to you, or are we going to pick a random one? We've had tons of comments. We've literally had hundreds of comments as we scrolled through here. I need to end the show, and unfortunately, I just scrolled up 1 billion miles, and oh, there it is right there. All right. Are you just going to tell me? How do you want to do this? Do you have any specific, or are we just going to do the random for the Hydronaut? I have already scrolled up. There's literally hundreds of these comments.
Okay, so you just want me to tell you to stop again?
Yeah, but just give me like 5 or 10 seconds. I'm just scrolling. I have no idea where I am in the comments. So whenever you say stop, as long as it's a coherent sentence that adds something to the conversation, you get Dave Mercer's Red Hydronaut.
Stop.
Anthony, with a question about Alberta that we didn't understand. But hey, valid question. Thank you for your contribution to BTL. Anthony, shoot me an email, matt@basszone.com. The Hydronaut rain suit from Dave Mercer's personal stash, that is yours.
Yes. And please explain your question when you send that. People are going to think it's fixed because a dude in Canada. Assuming he's in Canada. He asked about Alberta.
Yeah, I don't know.
Who knows?
It's saying Alberta will move to the 3rd stage of its reopening plan July 1st. That has nothing to do with that.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
It was worth an AFCO Hydronaut, though.
Yeah, the gift that keeps on giving. No, it's been fun. I hope I didn't cause too much trouble.
You got to cause a little bit of trouble. I try to shy away from that, Dave. But I asked the question.
Yeah, and dude, back to said question. I literally do not hold anything bad against the guy that we talked about earlier.
I do not hold anything bad against the guy that I talked about earlier. I would actually like to get him on as a guest. We actually had a conversation about him being on as a guest prior to, and it's his prerogative. I said something on the show that he didn't take kindly to, and for me that.
But I think it's okay though.
Yeah, 100%. That's the thing. I mean, dude, we do. I've done thousands of hours of live now. Stuff happens. Stuff doesn't. I mean, it's real life. Like you can come on and pretend like everything is roses, and that's not real life.
No, it's not. It is not. And I think, dude, I think that's one of the coolest things about. I think social media brings a lot of negative to the world, but I think one of the coolest things that it does is people are able to be themselves. People are able to be honest. And I think that people that live not as themselves get exposed pretty quick, and you know what I mean? But I also think that that's who Seth Feider is. You know what I mean? Like when he was trying to be what he thought people wanted him to be, he wasn't successful. But when he relaxed and was just the same Seth Feider he's always been, that's how he's become successful. And I think that we live in a good time where people truly respect honesty and real conversations. And that doesn't mean that they're always going to agree with what you say. That's all I got. I don't know.
All right. A lot of people here thanking you for coming on. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Good friend, Dave Mercer, Facts of Fishing, something new every single day. Greatly appreciated.
I enjoyed it. This seems like an awkward ending. So
no, it's not. It's just we're 2 hours in. This is the longest BTL in the history of the new studio. You got the record.
Wow. Thank you. I'm honored to have that record, and sorry for lying to my wife, because when I walked in here, she said, how long is it going to be? It's going to be a long one. I'm like, no, probably not even an hour.
I know. I was trying to. I'm sorry, dude. It is what it is.
Hey, we gave away a lot of stuff. People tuned in, and I'm thankful for it.
This has been another edition of BTL at Night with Dave Mercer for January 30th. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Casey Scanlon tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning on BTL. See ya.
Good night.